Recently, it was discovered, actually on March 26th, it was discovered that a wastewater containment area down in central southern Florida-ish began leaking and has the potential to flood hundreds of homes with toxic radioactive wastewater. So here's what's happening with this story. You have a place in Florida, a little south of Tampa, called Piney Point. And at Piney Point, there's an old phosphorus mine. And they would use the wastewater that came from mining phosphorus. They stored it in this dozens of acres area that is filled with these retention ponds where they put the water. This water is contaminated with chemicals, ammonia, nitrogen. It's very acidic, but overall, not the worst kind of wastewater out there. The problem is the phospho-gypsum. Now, the phospho-gypsum is what these ponds are made out of. And phospho-gypsum contains traces of uranium and is therefore radioactive. So as these ponds fail, as the phospho-gypsum breaks down, it gets into the water, turning the water radioactive, and now Governor Ron DeSantis down here in Florida has had to declare a state of emergency. They do believe there is, quote, an imminent threat to several hundred households that would be in the path of a, I guess, tidal wave-ish thing of toxic wastewater. And right now what they're doing is they're pumping the water out of the containment ponds, and they're pumping it into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is an ecosystem that already was on a lifeline. And they're taking this toxic wastewater and pumping it in there. But don't worry, because Florida's Environmental Protection Agency, run by Republicans, is telling us that, oh, there's nothing wrong with that water at all. No. The water meets water quality standards for marine waters, with the exception of pH, total phosphorus, total nitrogen, and total ammonia nitrogen. So yeah, other than where it doesn't meet the standards, it totally meets the standards. That's literally what I just read to you is the statement that the Florida Environmental Protection Agency released. They said, guys, it meets our standards, except for our standards on acidity and nitrogen, which is a huge contributor to dead zones in the Gulf of Mexico, which Tampa Bay is fed from. So yes, we have a very large environmental catastrophe happening down here in Florida, and it's happening in slow motion. They did have work crews out there Friday and Saturday trying to repair the containment ponds, and ultimately they failed. They're not able to contain it. They were not able to fix it. And we're just sitting here waiting for a tidal wave of toxic radioactive wastewater to hit more than 300 homes in Piney Point. That's the situation right now in Florida. And here's the kicker, folks. This was totally predictable because this phosphorus mine down there in Piney Point actually shut down 20 years ago. And in that time, this is now the third wastewater breach that they have had. So they have known this is a problem. They have known this is something that happens, with relative frequency, 3 times in 20 years. So you're probably looking at once every 7-ish years. And they didn't do anything about it. We didn't build up the infrastructure before, the bad stuff happens. We didn't worry about securing these toxic ponds prior to the leaking, which has now leaked already 90 million gallons, by the way. No, it's always reaction. That's how we are, not just here in Florida, but pretty much as Americans in general. We're always reactive to something, never proactive, never going out there and taking these steps to fix problems before they occur, even when we know they're going to occur. No, we wait for the worst case scenario, and then we panic and run around like chickens with our heads cut off because everybody's thinking the same thing. Why, oh why, didn't we do something earlier?